How's it going, everybody? Just getting everything set up here. I do like an announcement, like, "Hey, we'll be going live at 8:30" or yada yada. But I thought we could just jump into it. We don't have to do the whole primer of getting everybody ready or anything. But how is everybody doing? How is everybody that jumped on in here before we'd even really done the announcement? And thank you guys for coming. You're doing good. That's awesome. Why did that? Oh, and thank you for the Prime sub for 2 months. Whew. I also have. I think it is now fixed to where if you follow on Twitch, it should now pop up on the screen. So I don't know why I never wanted to do that before for Twitch. It always felt goofy because if you subscribe on YouTube, it would pop up. But now follows on Twitch should pop up. I'm gonna double check just to see. Just to make sure I'm not crazy, because I could very well be crazy. All right, I have that pulled up just so that I can monitor it to make sure that if there are people who are following, it doesn't pop up, that I can be like, hey, what's going on there, Twitch? And doing well, T Dot. I'm also doing well myself, so that's awesome to hear. The reason that I wanted to go live for today's video is that I wanted to discuss the BG event, also the new class, because we were going to do a bit of a I forgot. So the new Xbox controllers have like settings and whatnot where you can like have different presets, and my preset was on the wrong one, and I'm like, what the heck? I had my Stellaris preset on, big Stellaris gamer, when we're not playing ESO. So I wanted to talk about the live stream event for the BGs. Before I jump into that, do any of you have any strong opinions on that event? I'm going to bring up the comments from that video as well so we can look at what some of the people were saying. And that video that I had made yesterday, ironically, also is my most disliked video ever. It still has an 89% like ratio, which 89% is still pretty high. But I was like, wow, it's a bit of a different vibe here. But I figured we could review that. But I wanted to just throw it to everybody first. Did anybody that watched that video have any opinions? Well, I don't think too that I don't think it's necessarily directed at me as well. I mean, a lot of it was directed just outwards in general, like, hey, this is stupid that we're in this situation. Handle the truth. How's it going? Eject. And that video was actually originally 11 minutes longer too. So a lot of people, when I was trying to like think of the vibes for that video, I was trying to remember too, like, because when you cut out essentially a third of the video, I was a little worried that I might be cutting out some of the context that people might have interpreted differently if it was different. Where is? Sorry, just making sure my stream is pulled up also for YouTube chat in case it bugs out again. I don't want to miss any of the YouTube chatters. Well, I don't actually think it's the ESO PvP community. I think it's just more so the people in general. So I'm gonna pull up that actual chat at some point too. But I do want to just get these dailies done. Because by the way, do your dailies for High Isle. Because if you do your dailies for High Isle, thank you, Linus, for the resub for 5 months. You guys are crazy here. First two things are resubscriptions. Bad lads. I really appreciate it. But by the way, do these missions. Even if you're not geared out for them, just do the one where you go pick out an event and then boom, you're just go do that and you'll be good. I do more PvP than PvE. And thank you for the subscription, Ascension Dragon God. I wanted to see if the follows were working, but thank you for the hype train that has started. I don't know. I guess, I do a lot of solo content too. Like, I do my daily writs, like eat my vegetables, like I'm supposed to, like a good little cherub. I'll grind, items in gold every so often. And thank you, Mad Dog Viper. So the follows do finally work. I don't know why it took so long to figure that out. Streamlabs is one of the goofiest platforms you can ever use. So the follows now work, which is great because I feel like I was being gaslit into the, oh no, it says it's working, and I'm like, it's not working. I see people following. I have Twitch pulled up, right? And it will show me on Twitch, and it will be like, so and so has followed you. And I'm like, but then it didn't pop up on the big screen, People should get the gratification of when they follow or subscribe on YouTube, it pops up. Obviously, donations and Twitch subscriptions should pop up too. But I don't want people to think that you have to do that just to see your name pop up on the screen. So thank you, Viper. Finally sold those lockets of Pariah at 40k a pop. Oh, well, that's my inventory's full. What class sets you like the most for PvP? So for BG, are you asking for BGs or just in general? Because for BGs, I have been using this combo. I'm still in it right now, even though I'm farming normal content. We have Crafty Alfiq with a Crafty Alfiq on the back bar, Roxa's 2-piece Druid, 2-piece Trainee, and then Death Dealer's Feet. It's pretty much just a max stat build. The nice thing is that you can use your scribing abilities to pretty much get additional buffs from different things. For example, take a little look here. So I use this. This is how I apply a minor breach to people, which is very helpful. But I can also use this to remove negative traits and get minor heroism. Minor heroism is fantastic because guess what you can do with your heroism? You can use your absorption shield, which is just pretty helpful. So that's why I love this little sorcerer build. It's more of like a support resource build type things. But there's so many different ways that you can build, and it's always so hard to know like what's the best for individual people. I need to actually grab this now that my inventory's cleared up. Day 4 of asking for bank access. Do you know this? I mean, I'd give you bank access. Are you on right now? Clear out my inventory. Can't get on. What's your gamer tag again? Yeah, the banner. Yeah, I think the banner. I think it would be too OP if you could only backbar it, though. In my opinion, so I think that's where there has to be a bit of balance to it, especially because if for PvP, especially you just have everybody running a different type of banner, because it would only take up one bar. HIJKLMNOP. Oh my god, I had to say my alphabet song whenever I'm going to somebody's name. There you go. There you go. Promoted to member. Feel free to just loot that whole bank out. Yeah, you can come to the guild if you. It is on Xbox NA. Might be a bit full. Oh gosh, you guys like it for your healer? I think it's one of those things that needs a lot of tweaking and stuff to figure out how good it's actually on. I'm on. Can I be promoted to member? Sure. There you go. Is there? Yes, I see people were talking about the daily endeavors. Are they like really annoying right now? What are the daily endeavors like? What? Get experience. That's interesting. Catch 12 fish. By the way, I'm so close for my Seals of Endeavor. For the I could literally get this mount. Where's that mount? Hang on. Grab this. I'm so close. Seals of Endeavor. Where's that? Where's that goofy ass horse? Look how close I am, ladies and gentlemen. I have 7,600 Seals of Endeavor. I am so close to where I could earn this masterpiece. Look, it looks like a normal horse. You know, you would think to yourself, oh, nothing crazy going on here. Nothing super wild. Then bam! It's got 4 swords. This is literally the perfect thing to use to trample. Is it trample? Is that the thing that you can throw at people? I think that's trample, right? The scribing skill that you can use to throw at people. That's literally perfect for it. I'm gonna make Isabel ride that if I could get 400 more Seals of Endeavors. Yeah, I would not use your Seals of Endeavors on this horse. I don't think it's probably not the best use of your currency, and I'm a big proponent of using your currency for the right thing. I don't know if it triggers with the swords. I don't know. I don't actually know anybody that owns the mount, so I unfortunately can't I can't phone a friend on this. It should, you would think, but I don't know. Now we're gonna hope for some companion gear. I got a piece of companion gear that was worth 1,000,000 gold yesterday from this bad boy. So, oh, it's penetration. Oh my god. I've been getting more purple companion gear from this event than anything else. And it's so close to being a good trait. It's a purple, it's a ring, so you're almost guaranteed to get a good trait. And then it isn't. And then it isn't. And my inventory's full. Double whammy. What trait is worth 1,000,000 gold? So it was, well, let's just talk generally first, because I think a lot of you guys are talking about gauging the companion price. So certain traits are worth more money, right? You have situations where most people in the community, they're up here, they want a tanking companion. I want a companion that's going to eat all of the attacks while I can sit back and do damage and do really bad at heavy and light attacking. Because, I'm not the greatest when it comes to managing my health and resources and rotation. But tanking is like the #1 companion type. Below that, you have people who are like, I can make a healer. I could do some damage. Tanking companions aren't always great at their up times on their taunts, so I'll just make a healer companion. Because then all they have to do is heal me, right? Easy peasy. And then below that, you have a DPS companion. I don't necessarily know why you would want a DPS companion. It certainly is something that you can do. But there's really not a lot of crazy benefits to DPS companions. I think usually the amount of DPS you're probably going to get from a companion is like 10 to 20,000 maximum, which is not a lot. And that's even with the best gear, right? And so let's look at, I'm going to pull up companion traits just so that we can break them down individually. Hang on, let me set this up here. This is my background. It's very foresty for those of you who enjoy the forested backgrounds. Let's see. Neo capture device. Just bear with me. All right. Here are all of the traits for ESO. I don't know why this screen... Why is this so small? Let me make this bigger for you guys. So these are all of the possible traits that you could get. So you have increased damage done, pretty much a DPS one. Increase the duration of buffs and debuffs, reduce damage taken, increase critical strike, increase ultimate generation, reduce ability cooldowns, increase penetration, increase healing done, and increase max health. So generally, the most valuable ones are the tanking ones. So reduce damage taken and increase max health are usually the 2 most valuable ones. But also, reduce ability cooldowns is very popular as well, because if you can reduce the ability cooldowns, you can use your abilities more often, and generally the companion ones are really good for that, because tanks then are now going to taunt more often. So Isabel is actually going to keep the boss taunted. That's very helpful. And then you also have some other kind of ones that are decently helpful, healing done, soothing, that's your healing traits. But those are pretty much the primary ones that you're going to see people using for companions. And therefore, those are going to be the ones that are the most valuable, because that's the highest demand. Now, what makes something very valuable, you may be wondering. And generally, it's when it's on a weapon. I've noticed that there's oftentimes a lack of weapons with the right traits, and that makes sense. So if you guys know Cyrodiil, long time, sponsor of the channel. I see him all the time. We love the background. Is it what piece do you like in the background? I'm always like rotating different goofy items in there, it feels like. So Filer Ool has rotational stuff that you can buy with your archival fortunes. You can spend 5,000 archival fortunes and it will either be jewelry, medium, heavy, or light armor, or weapons. And a lot of people will roll on jewelry specifically because jewelry, you're guaranteed to at least get a piece of jewelry that you need. And it can have any trait that's decent. So even if you get, for example, increased damage done on your jewelry, you're thinking to yourself, okay, I don't have a DPS companion now, but I could throw this on one. Versus if you have heavy, if you have heavy armor, right, and you get increased damage done, you're like, well, that's not ideal. So the most common example of that is weapons. So oftentimes, sometimes you can slap on an incorrect couple pieces, of armor. Say for example, though, you get like a fire staff with, increased max health. You're like, well, I can't, do tiddly squat with this. Like, so those are ones that are more risky. So wagering your archival fortunes or other currencies on the weapons ones is usually more risky because you're less likely to get a piece that you need, and weapons are decently important. Same with heavy gear too. Heavy gear is probably the second most expensive, and this can fluctuate too on supply, demand, because the companion gear market fluctuates so much. It definitely does ebb and flow, but jewelry has kind of overtaken as the cheaper pieces to purchase. So it's a very long way to answer your question of how do you gauge the companion gear prices. So I hope that this has been helpful, this example. But pretty much anything that deals with tanking, those are going to be your most valuable. Anything that deals with healing, you're going to be second most valuable. DPS is your third most valuable. And with the new companions coming out, companion prices are also back going crazy again because everybody is decorating these two new companions, which is great if you're selling companion gear, but a lot of people haven't been participating in their daily quests for High Isle, which I understand. You may not have High Isle. You're probably like, how is farming High Isle better than the Halloween event that we just had and assumably the New Life event that we're going to have in the future? And that's because these boxes in the High Isle event actually have more juice inside of them. A lot of people don't know this, but generally events that give you less reward boxes give you better rewards inside of those boxes. Every single day that I have opened my gold reward box for High Isle, I've gotten a piece of companion gear. And purple companion gear, it's not going to make it to where you never have to work another day in your life, but it'll give you a nice little goose egg of money. So definitely make sure you go out and do your High Isle daily. You just have to do one. I would just make sure that you do your single vent per day. There's also some great gear that you can farm. I'm going to try spamming Veteran Earthen Root as I get on for that stupid chest page. Also, too, Mr. Fedor, because so many people are farming and you can get that motif from there, feel free to, and I would do this, go out and see if you can find people searching it. What's it called? I'll see if I can find one. This will give me a nice little prelude to talking about the BG event while I do this in the background. Just to remind me what it's called again. And did anyone here get a chance to watch the BG video that I made yesterday, or just have thoughts and opinions on the BG live event that was done by the developers and yours truly? Even though I wasn't on the main stream, I was just an extra streaming on the side. What's that called, Fedora? Fire, because I have already forgotten. Your stream was better. Well, thank you. I also think, too, because I knew a lot of the people that were streaming with us, we also had more, more chemistry, ability to talk to one another. Also, too, it was less, less stressful, Even after the raid, there was quite a few people that came in, and I was like, oh my god, the stream kind of it's very different than afterwards until some people were timed out. I had to actually time out people for the first time ever because they were just like sitting in chat, and after the 10th message of them like calling out a specific person, and what's crazy is they weren't even calling out the developers on the stream. They were just calling out like one of the developers that was on their ticket. I'm like, why are they just coming in here and just complaining about their specific ticket? Like what do they think's gonna happen? That Bethesda's gonna watch my stream and be like, oh, okay, let me handle this guy's ticket here. He put 10 comments in Jake's chat. Let's escalate this. No, they're not gonna notice. I just have to awkwardly look at some dude that's venting about his ticket, that he submitted. You ever think they'll be able to make it crossplay? I do think at some point that they'll be able to. I don't know what level of priority that is. If I had to guess when they might consider making ESO crossplay, um, my guess is that when they take support away from the previous consoles, whenever that would be, it could be 5 years down the road, whenever, they will give you the option to port your character between servers. I could see that being one of the workarounds for like, hey, if you had a PlayStation account and you want to come to PC now because now we're not supporting the, PlayStation, whatever we're on, you can jump over. I could see them doing that. Do I know though for certain? It's always hard to know what they will or won't do. I think it just comes down to what's a priority at the time, for them. Yeah, let I think they need to do it like Warframe did originally, where you could link accounts one and port over your purchases and progress to the other platform. I think Destiny does that as well, if I'm not mistaken. Does anyone know if that's true? I think Destiny's like that. But I wanted to pull up the comments for the video yesterday. I might pull them up and watch them together here. Just because I wanted to beat around the bush. I'm actually just reading one of the comments right now. So here are the comments from yesterday's video. And because it was such a contentious video, I thought, well, let's talk about the comments. So they have my comment here, obviously. Let me scoot this over just a wee bit. Oh, I did not. I'm moving the wrong thing. I'm moving my whole outline. There we go. All right, so I just left a generic comment like, hey, by the way, if you also, and this is very important, if any of you guys ever leave YouTube comments, if you if you said like John Smith in the comments, there's a good chance that YouTube will delete that comment because it thinks that you're targeting harassment towards a certain person. And I did not want people to think that I was deleting people's, I didn't want people to think I was deleting their comments. So I was just like, hey guys, just please don't leave comments like this just because YouTube will delete them. It's not me, it's YouTube. So like, please be cognizant of that. And so here are some of the other comments. I figure we can we just go through some of these because I want to talk to you also about some ideas and solutions that I had for this. So is this the most popular one? How do I sort this? I don't know why YouTube doesn't sort by like most popular, because this one's got 29, 44, 19, 22, but whatever. We'll go in order that YouTube has decided. So they said there was no chemistry and barely any communication between the three of them, and then the not understanding combat couldn't have been worse. And I think that this has been probably the most common sentiment on that video, is that they were shocked at the lack of knowledge during the live stream. And I think that in some parts, there's definitely a lot of valid criticism. And I want to peel back for just one moment, because one of the comments is probably a good one to start on. Is that somebody left a comment that was basically like, I understand that you're in the stream team now. That probably is your reason for being so positive. I don't know where that one is. We'll get to that one eventually, but I want to address that one first because I think it will be helpful just throughout the rest of them. A lot of people were saying, why is that? What the heck? Sorry, my stream just froze on my screen and then kicked me off. That was weird, but it still says it's going, so all right, whatever. A lot of people were saying, oh, because now you're in the creator program and yada yada, you've got a lot to lose and things, you're probably handling the situation as like a bureaucrat or somebody who doesn't want to anger Zoss. And I wanted to push back on that piece first, because I want to just be very transparent, is that if I had made a video that was titled very negatively, it would have gotten tons of views. And so what's interesting is that people assume one sort of bias, but they don't think about the inverse. If I had titled that video, "The ESO developer live stream was a disaster," and then it got like 20,000 views, I would have made like an extra $180 from that video. So, it's like when people think about biases, I could say the same thing like of, "Oh, well, you titled this video very negatively, made a very negative video because you wanted money." So it's like, what do you value more, And then maybe, this is my point of view, is maybe there's a third option where I just talk like I would normally would, and I don't care about outstanding biases and whatnot. I do want to maintain a productive relationship, obviously, with ZeniMax. Obviously, I want to be able to suggest things and to be taken seriously and not be known as somebody that just, rants and vents and doesn't offer anything productive. But somebody had left a comment that, I was just saying things because I'm in this program now. I think that's a bit of a goofy stance because, well, I could, like, what do I care about more? Getting ESO Plus free, for a month? Or would I care more about hundreds of dollars? It's like, if I made a video called, like, ESO is dying and blah, 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 I probably would have gotten, tons of extra money on that video. And then money is probably the greatest motivator. So why didn't I do that? It's like, because money and biases are not, towards one positive or negative are not a factor. How I actually feel is how I talk about in these videos, because I think as long you can have any point of view as long as you articulate it well. That's always been my, representation of my thoughts and things. So to kind of then now go back to what we were talking about in these comments, there being no chemistry, I do definitely think that that's a problem. The tallest ESO Twitcher. Thank you, Ron. I do think it's problematic. I think it is also kind of set up to fail because a lot of times when they do these developer live streams, they pick people who are very good at certain types of content and that they already have a good relationship with. I think so. For those of you who are like, why did they pick, Cypher and, these other people? A lot of them were through Alienware, and it was an Alienware sponsored stream. I don't know the specifics of it, but it was like, hey, Alienware is going to be doing something very specific. These are some streamers, some of them used to work with you, et cetera, et cetera. So because of that, I don't think there was a whole lot of priming as to like, I don't think they talked a lot beforehand and then afterwards, to catch up on things. I think it was just like, boom, you're now on a live stream with some other creators. Go for it. And I don't know how I would be if you threw me in a chat with Cypher PK. I'd be like, oh my God, this guy has like 30 times the amount of subscribers that I do. It'd be kind of intimidating too. So I do think that the no chemistry is a problem. And I think it's a product of not meeting ahead of time, which I definitely think that they should have done. There should have been some sort of conversation ahead of time. And then not... I don't know. It was a very quiet stream. I feel like we talked a lot more, and I'm not usually a talkative person. I'm more like laid back. I feel even when I stream. Da, da, da. And then let's not. It's embarrassing. Let's not beat around the bush. And then Joseph says, first off, we should try to stay positive and offer constructive criticism. Second, we should not overlook the truth in order to shield someone's feelings. In what other industry would it be okay for a senior manager to lack basic information about his job? Guy who leads the combat team didn't know how to heavy attack. That is crazy. It needs to be addressed. And so I think that's probably, I think the heavy attacking stuff and the not recognizing certain sets is probably the biggest criticism in this video. I think that this is also here too. And this is also this is the comment about damage control, not recognizing different things. And I wanted to also provide some additional insight as to when this event started, what was like kind of like offered. So basically what happened is I'm gonna flip the screens to the intermission so you guys don't have to just sit and read the same comment. You can watch the lovely people run around Mournhold while I talk with my hands. So what happened is that when ZeniMax originally was doing this event, it was sponsored by Alienware, so they had some Alienware people in there. Then they also offered it to different content creators, and they said, hey, is anybody interested in doing this? Obviously, I was very interested in doing it because I thought, it would be great to see ESO PvPers on console. How many times, like when I was not a content creator, did I see these cool events where people were doing stuff like, dungeon runs. They'd have 2 teams set up to do a dungeon run, and then whoever won, did all the hard mode clears and stuff first would win, and blah blah blah. And I was like, man, we need to see some representation for stuff like that for console players. So that was really the reason that I wanted to kind of jump into this event, because I thought it was such a cool opportunity to go into and do that. And then I noticed that there was not that many people that were super interested in doing that. It did not seem like there was a lot of people who wanted to do Battlegrounds for a few hours. And to be fair, too, like, it's a Wednesday, so like that was pretty difficult to get around. In fact, my team that I originally submitted, we had to rotate people in and out throughout the stream just because like people wanted a break. Who wants to sit? We did Battlegrounds, I think, for 8.5 hours straight. Like that's a long time to like sit on Xbox and just do Battlegrounds on repeat. So I definitely think that that's something that they should look at too. I think that they could easily do this like on a weekend or maybe a Friday or a Monday, like so it's easier to take off work, give yourself like a 3-day weekend. That would probably be a really good way to do that in the future. And I definitely think too that the whole event was a net positive. And when I made my video yesterday, which still does have an 89% like score on it. No, that's the lowest that I've ever gotten, so it made me a little worried. Because I was like, oh my gosh, this is my most disliked video ever. Like I was a little nervous. Thank you for the resub. A 6 months anniversary of my stream. Jake CL1H. Hi, it seems good. Thank you. I would absolutely loosely pay Battlegrounds for 8 hours if I got paid for it. I don't want like, just so you know, Twitch had a thing called a bit of an adpocalypse. I would have made more money if I was clocking in and out and working minimum wage. Just to be transparent, I basically made no money during that event. It start to finish. It was a great day. Well, thank you. Thank you for participating with us. I knew that, obviously a lot of people want to content create, and I'm very, blessed to do it. I'm not going to sit up here like Hassan Piker and be like, actually streaming for 8 hours is hard. Like it's harder than working a 9 to 5. No, working a 9 to 5 is always harder. I don't care if you work, the cushiest job ever. I know a lot of people hated the developers live stream, so I got caught in the crossfire, but I just wanted to take some time to talk about what I think was good and what I think could be improved on, so that's where I think a lot of people in that video thought that I was being too nice, but ironically, the whole video is like priming for like, hey, this is how we can offer constructive criticism. This is how we can give different ideas. If you went and talked to your boss, right, and your boss gave you a bunch of constructive criticism about your work, I don't think that you would look at that positively. Like, you'd just be like, okay, like this is what I need to improve on. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. And so a lot of people were interpreting that video as me, like being super positive and whatnot. Thank you for the follow, Zim the Bard. And I don't think that that's necessarily true, but I also did trim off 11 minutes off that video. And I did trim off an analogy that I think kind of makes sense for how I felt about the event. And I tied it to social work, right? So I think conceptually we can all agree that the developers being in live stream in a PvP event is fantastic. Like, I think everybody on the face agrees that that point is good. Every video that I've seen has said it's great that they did this event, right? It's also great that Twitch broke into the top 25 most played games for that period of time during the Battlegrounds event. Because I think too, that also highlights that PvP is always fun to watch. Like, I've never played World of Warcraft before. If I went and watched World of Warcraft PvP, I think I could enjoy watching it because I can enjoy, just the player versus player nature of it, the competitiveness of it. So I think PvP being the front face for what is the most successful stuff on Twitch, I think is only a net positive for the game and for the game going forward, because it directly incentivizes ZOS to continually look at PvP, right? And from there, so they're directly incentivized to work on PvP. Let's just assume that every criticism about not knowing certain sets and the tanking meta being really annoying and all of that to be true, right? If all of those things are true, they now have pressure to fix those things, because as a business, what they've just seen is that PvP will take them into the top 25 on Twitch. It got them sponsored on the homepage of Twitch for a period of time because they were that popular. They've noticed some things about the meta that are very annoying. Rush of Agony, very annoying. It's a very tanky meta, even in Battlegrounds, where you would think people would be a little bit squishier because there's no champion points. So there's a direct incentive to look at the PvP meta and go, how can we make this better for our current players? And to me, I think that that's actually a really good situation to be in. But a lot of people conflate that with me saying that this event went fantastically and everything is great and positive. But that's not true. And the analogy that I gave in the video that I ended up cutting out because it was a very serious analogy, and I don't like to use sad analogies even though it's true. So at one of my previous jobs, one of the best things that I would do, or one of the most common things I would do, is I would help homeless people get rehoused, and they'd be homeless for all sorts of different reasons. And obviously, homelessness is bad. I think everybody watching this stream right now agrees that homelessness is not ideal. It is a bad situation. But what you can still do is pick out the positives, and then you can take those positives, and then you can use those as a stepping stone. For example, I've worked with homeless people who had great credit scores. If you have a great credit score, you can advocate yourself to a landlord. You can advocate yourself to all other different types of businesses. You can even advocate yourself if you're talking to social workers, if they're trying, a lot of, for example, community cares programs will kind of like pick and choose, who they want to, give like security deposits to and whatnot. And if you show like, hey, I've got a good credit score, they're going to be like, this guy, probably has either they have a history of making payments, they've got a history of, doing these things. So, that you're more likely to get support. I've also worked with people who are homeless, but they're still working. And it's like, that's fantastic. If you're still working, I can use that to advocate for you also to get other benefits, supports, and assistance. And that's where I think that analogy might have helped, because being homeless is bad. It's bad that the developer's live stream was filled with hate, and it was filled with people's messages getting deleted. It was filled with, it was very quiet. Also, queuing is 3 people versus 4, I think is not ideal. And I think everybody agrees with that. But that doesn't mean that we can't pick out positives and go, here's how we can take these positives and push them towards the future. And that's what I wanted people to take away from that video. But I also didn't want it to be 33 minutes long. So I trimmed it down to, what is it now? I think it's like 11 minutes long. What is it? I don't have YouTube Premium, so I have to wait for my own ad to play. 23 minutes. Yeah, so I trimmed a full 11 minutes off that video, which might have helped provide additional context. And I am live. Thank you, Archmage, for joining us. And Mr. Fedora says, I used to play For Honor competitively on Twitch and got affiliate for streaming it, but viewership tanked as soon as I went to play anything co-op. PvP is always indeed popular to watch. That's where I think that's the biggest positive takeaway you could take, right? PvP, put ESO in the top 25 categories that got it featured in the homepage. If you're ZeniMax, and I know this to be true because one of the first things that they discuss with us afterwards is what are some of the Twitch rewards that we can give to people to incentivize, people to watch more live streams. That was one of the first conversations that occurred afterwards. I hope I'm allowed to talk about that. But this is a live stream, so maybe we could be a little bit more loosey-goosey with a live stream. Hopefully the developers are all driving home right now. So, when you're in a situation where you've just had a very popular live stream, and the first thing that they say afterwards is, hey, what can we do to get even more people? Like, what are some rewards that would get people even more excited? And a lot of people had different suggestions. By the way, some people had said that there should be rewards for up to 8 hours of watching. I don't know if you guys have any opinions about that. It was... interesting, because I guess, is it Guild Wars 2, I think, does 8 hours worth of, Twitch drops. So you watch for an hour, you get something. You watch for 4 hours, you get something. What do you guys think? What do you guys think should be, the maximum amount of a Twitch drop? Because that was one of the questions that people are talking about. So since we've already opened this rabbit hole that might get me in trouble, we might as well just go down it. What do you think the longest Twitch drop should be? And assume too that you have maybe 48 hours to get it. Not a lot of times they're 24 to 48 hour streams. Mr. Big Country says, sorry at work, I made your PvP store hella fun. You made the market for Crafty go up. I feel obligated now to go farm Crafty Alfiq. Maybe I could put it back down again. Love seeing you in Battlegrounds, Jake. Some people are just going to hate because you aren't purely negative. Thanks for keeping it real. 8 hours max would be good. 12 hours for a skin, and as long as it's not 8 hours straight. I'll tell you another secret too. If you want a Twitch drop, what I do is I just leave my computer on watching somebody, because ESO streamers also generally raid other people. So I used to just farm crown crates just by like leaving my computer on. And as long as you can mute your computer, but you can't mute, I think you can't mute the stream itself, because then you won't count as a viewer. But if you can do that, you could farm pretty much anything. It could be 24-hour, like Twitch drop. You'd be good to go. Rahala makes 12-hour rewards for their BCK or dev streams. That would be awesome, actually. Especially if you have like 48 hours to get it. I think 8 hours is pretty reasonable. Are there things? So this is the other thing too, is a lot of people love cosmetics, but I have been an advocate. You can't mute the tab. Exactly, Detroit. I think you can still mute the computer, but you can't mute the tab or the stream itself. Shoot, I got distracted here. So one of my suggestions could when we're doing like PvP examples, for example, could everybody that watched get a 5-piece golded out piece of Crafty Alfiq? Like if you watched, one of the streamers, because they're different stream teams, and I think that they're going to try to replicate this event for better or for worse, So say you watch Jake's stream, well then maybe you could get Jake's build in the golded out version of it if you watched like, I don't know, a couple hours. Thank you, Mr. Fullness, for the follow, because then it's like, okay, so you're following this person, you're seeing the build that they're using, then you can then take that and then translate that into then actually using it yourself. That was one of the ideas that I had. I don't know if that would like destroy the economy or interrupt, people's desire to farm certain sets, of like, oh my gosh, Jake, I saw that you were posting this build everywhere and I farmed it, and I wanted to scalp the market. Now they're just giving it away for free. It's crazy, But what I noticed is when they asked for feedback for what items people wanted, pretty much everybody had a different opinion. So if you guys have opinions, I might actually also do a poll as well on my channel at some point too, just because there are so many people doing that. A streamer uses perfected reliquins in Battlegrounds. That would be hilarious. Hey guys, here's my perfected false gods build. Somebody actually did suggest a portion of time for ESO Plus. So let's say you watch like an hour of ESO. Well, then you get like a week of ESO Plus. So it's like, oh, you get to come to an ESO stream and then boom, you get ESO Plus. So there was that suggestion also. There's so many suggestions, floating around. The rampant negativity from a ton of streamers is sad to see. So glad to see your content. Well, thank you, Robert. And I just want to point to that as a thing too, is that there are people in the content creator program that are also negative, like a lot of people are like, oh, I'm only this positive because I'm in the creator program. There's no benefit to me being positive. I feel how I feel. I work. The beautiful thing is, and I wanted to never become like, some of the other content creators like Boogie2988 or Wings of Redemption or Darkside Phil. They pretty much rely on being controversial and saying and doing stupid things to get money. I don't require, that's why I love my job. I go to my job, I do it, and then whatever happens streaming and making YouTube videos, that can just all get put back into itself. Like I don't have to worry about, oh, to get a feed off my audience, or, oh, I got to say stupid controversial stuff, or, maybe I just tweak some things into a title. I change some good to greats. I change, my thoughts to it was a disaster in a couple titles, and then bam, I'm glad that I don't have to do that. And I don't want people to ever think that I am doing that. In fact, for those of you who don't know, there was a content creator, I'm not going to tell you which one, but he actually wasn't making content at the time. And I made a video where I talked about Um, so it was Alien King in the Tuesday vendor, right? So Alien King was in the Tuesday vendor. And the title of my YouTube video was one of the rarest mythics is in the Tuesday vendor. And he said, I don't think that he messaged me and said, hey, I don't, or no, he left a YouTube comment that said, every mythic is rare because it's a mythic. It doesn't drop, in the overworld. And when I actually reached out to him and I had a conversation about this, I said, hey, just so you want, like the reason I use this word instead of another, oh my God, there's the horse in the mythic. No, it's in the wild. Oh, we missed the sword with the 4 hands. He messaged me. We had a chit chat back and forth, and he actually started to make ESO content because I, encouraged him and said, hey, you should make content. You're a very knowledgeable person, but just so you know, like, this is why I use these specific words in this video is because this is my interpretation of the word, rare, because most people who want Torque of the Alien King don't have it because they're PvPers. And then PvPers have to farm Infinite Archive. And not just Infinite Archive a few times. You got to farm Infinite Archive a lot. So that's where I was like, that's why I picked these words. So I never do anything with the intention of trying to eke out a little bit of like, ooh, can I just upgrade some words? In fact, the inverse was true. When I was doing a Golden Vendor review, I actually downgraded something. I was like, this might be a 10, but I'll just say it's like a 9.9. And a lot of people were like, Jake, this is a 10. And I was like, I didn't want to like clickbait people by saying, 3 10 out of 10 items in the vendor because there was already 2 guaranteed 10 out of 10 staple sets in the Golden Vendor. So I was like, I'd rather err on the side of caution because I don't want people to think that I'm overhyping stuff because it's going to lead to more views. Because ironically, if there's a horribly bad Golden Vendor, those sometimes get even more views because people are more curious of like, why is this set so bad? Like, what is actually horrible? I think it might have been Symphony of Blades. I think it might have been the Symphony of Blades at a 10 out of 10. But I think it was the week too. But like Balorgs was already there, so Balorgs is a 10 out of 10. Thank you, Kilted, for the mount show off. Now, when you use Trample, does it throw them out with the swords? Let me make sure because I'm missing some comments here. We watch your content because you like who you are. Thank you, Detroit. You're all shook up. Said, what's good, brother? It said on my YouTube watch hours, you're second I watch, not because you're a 1vxer, because you may have good videos to keep me informed with the ESO. Well, thank you. Now I just got to make the 1vxer videos. Oh, coming soon, Crafting mats, raw, gold, or unique skins for events would be amazing. I strongly dislike controversy and drama that and light obnoxious streamers. Upgrade mats, not crafting. I think it was Symphony of Blades, though. Jake, do you not need to justify your words to anyone else? Your positivity overall, just being a good human being, is the main reason I watch your videos. Prayer or not, please do not change. You seem to be caught in the crossfires and taking heat for others. And then Zombie Jesus says, crazy ideas. I am Razy. Cozy says, hey, Jake. Robert says, oh, special crates would be amazing. And then All Shook Up says, haha. All right. We're all caught up on all the messages. So the crazy idea that I had is that, and don't snitch on me, Cozy, because I don't know what we are and aren't allowed to say. Thank you for the follow, Archmage. A lot of people remember the time period when we had class reps for PvP and PvE, right? And I was thinking, because, Cozy may be able to tell you this too. They ask us for feedback on PvP, PvE, Battlegrounds, etc. And I thought I could create a group of people that are, like pseudo class reps that could type out essentially, I don't want to say like a document, but like a short little paragraph of like, here's everything that's going well, and here's what we would change. For Battlegrounds, because specifically there's a lot of feedback and desire to see things fixed and changed with Battlegrounds. And then the second idea was too is that could we take that same group of people, and then I've already started to make this group of people. I put in a Facebook group. I said, who are the most sweaty, toxic PvPers that exist here? Please send them to me. And I just had them reach out to me on Facebook. That's how I polled my audience, and I was able to get all the people I needed. And we're having a dialogue conversation of like which passive buffs are too broken. For example, like is Harden Ward for sorcerers to busted? You know, like conversations like that. Because I think what it does is it can help get the ball rolling, um, just by putting it out there of like, you know, maybe if you tweaked the max health and the max magicka shield cap to 69%, not just because it's a funny number, it might help keep sorcerers from being like too overtuned for where they are now. So I wanted to create that group, and I have started to create that group to help design and give feedback. And we're actively working on pulling more people in that are very active in the PvP community, because this might sound crazy. I actually really love the PvP community. Um, I do a lot of PvP. I think it's one of the most fun pieces of content. I think dungeons sometimes can be very repetitive, but if you load into Greyhost, versus, Spindle Clutch 1, arguably the same difficulty. On Vet, don't worry. Vet Spindle Clutch 1 versus Greyhost, about the same difficulty. You're always going to have a different experience in PvP. You may be on a big defense, you may be big offenses, like it could be a really fun, thing to do. And that's why I love going to Greyhost. It's always different. What you need to do is reach out to all the Xers, in my opinion. They understand that's who I did. Listen, I picked the most toxic of Facebook groups. I'm basically going dumpster diving. Not everybody that I reached out to is like a sweat, when it comes to PvP. But I just want you to know that I reached out to all of the people who, the people who take the 1vx clips with the cringy copyrighted music. Those are the people that I have sought out and I'm seeking spiritual wisdom for when it comes to tweaks and changes and things. So we are reaching out to the right people, let me tell you. The people who have become Emperor in Greyhost because they've not slept, those are the people that we have reached out to. But also other content creators like Cujo Kills reached out to because they make fantastic Nightblade content, 1vx videos, build videos they just started doing. Also reached out to Malcolm. I actually haven't heard back from Malcolm yet. I think that's going to be somebody I hope to grab onto. But then also to like just people who are very good at the game, because I think people who are very good and have a very analytical way of like understanding like what's really good, I think are just going to be important to give feedback to and feedback from. Yeah, Necromancer is still the worst thing. But an interesting conversation point, what would make the Necromancer better? Like what would be busted in the Necromancer? Is it every time a Necromancer consumes a corpse, it gets minor expedition for 2 seconds? Like did I reach out to Runnels? I'm not sure. That doesn't sound familiar. The only problem is I only know people by what they have as their Facebook name, which isn't always what their gamer tag is. I don't know if I got any more messages. I did actually get more messages. So I don't know, but if you have suggestions or ideas, send them to me on Discord so I don't forget while I'm live streaming. But I put it out there on Facebook so that everybody could see. And that's the other problem too, is so I'm pretty sure that Blastbones was nerfed is it for PvE purposes? And that's where I think it becomes the most difficult to balance, is that ESO sets that are good for PvE might also be very good for PvP. So when you have a situation where a PvE nerf happens, you oftentimes are nerfing a set then when, in the other formula as well. That's why I'm glad. Thank you for the... Oh, is this a follow? Did something happen? Apparently, I think I might just be blind. Sorry, ignore me. Nobody followed it. I thought the thing came up on screen for a second. Yeah, if you want to shoot me a message on Discord. I could put the Discord in here if it'll load. Where is the Discord? Sorry. Un momento. Here is the Discord. There's that Discord. It's in both Twitch and the YouTube chat. There you go. Just for your viewing pleasure, feel free to take a look at that bad boy. And if you guys have suggestions for people, chuck them in there, because what I want to do is I want to make very poignant suggestions. And the reason I want to do that is there's a lot of people who are like, "Oh, Jake, I don't think that the people are going to listen and blah blah blah." 2 points. One is that it doesn't hurt to try. Like there's literally no harm in making good suggestions. And the second one is I do think that they do listen. The problem is that I think sometimes there's a misconception about the average ESO player. Everybody likes to think that, like, oh, I'm the average ESO player. And I remember when I did a poll in my community. So this was like a year ago. I think I had like 12,000 subs a year ago. I made a poll. How many of you guys have completed a dungeon? 40% of my audience had never completed a dungeon. And when I saw that poll, I was like, I know nothing about the average ESO player. And what I think happens is that a lot of times when the developers make changes, they look at the analytics. Like, for example, more players on average do more battlegrounds than will queue into Greyhost. But there are usually more people at any given moment in Greyhost or, Cyrodiil campaigns. But more players on average are more likely to test out PvP by going into a battleground. And there's more people on a weekly basis, like different type, like unique people. So like unique people is like a YouTube thing too that you can look at. So it's not just views, because like one of you guys could watch my video like 10 times. You can also see how many different types of people watched it, like who's, person XYZ, watch the video. More people, unique people, are going into battlegrounds versus Greyhost. And I think that's why that received the update first, is so that it would lead into Cyrodiil. When I said that, a lot of people were like, Jake, what are you saying? And I was like, oh, just saying what I think is true. And I think it's because they looked at the analytics and said, okay, like what makes sense to update first? The thing for PvP that more people on average are doing, or something that's going to be more complex? Because I'll be real with you, I don't even know how you update Cyrodiil. Like that's, I'll be honest. I've thrown out like some passive ideas, like, oh, like, for example, I think when somebody becomes the emperor, there could be like a cool way, they could appoint like different roles, to people, like to people are, like this person's like a gladiator. I'm very bad at titles. And then this is like the emperor's gladiator. And then they get their own like passive buffs when they're in that campaign while, they're named as that title. And then also too, if your campaign is last, so like say like red is first, yellow is second, blue is third. I know this is unrealistic because blue's not third ever in their lives, but let's just say blue's third. Well, then blue gets like a pseudo emperor title of like somebody that's getting an addition, not like quite an emperor buff, but maybe is getting a buff to the people all around them. That way, like everybody near that person gets like a passive buff, and it's easier for them to take stuff. That's the only real things that I thought of for Cyrodiil. A lot of people had suggestion things like all across the board for, hey, like we should remove some of the keeps. That way it's a little bit more poignant on where the conflict is. Maybe like a map of where people on your team are, that because, they already have the, oh, you can't load in, to other campaigns, yada, yada rule. So maybe you could be able to see players on the map as to where you are. But as far as wholesale changes, I don't know what you do. One of you guys had said, too, about it comes down to, like Nephis had said, reward structure. And I think that that's true. I don't know where, like, what rewards do people want the most? Because this is another thing, too, that I think that I'm different on, is that I, for example, I have a really cool mount that I love. I'm not interested in buying or earning any other mounts necessarily. So I know that when I tell people that, they're like, what? But mounts are the best rewards. And I do agree. Mounts are awesome. If there was like a Godslayer equivalent, for like Emperor or something, like that'd be a nice little ride. I also think too that we just need more PvP achievements. And I think that Battlegrounds has added some more achievements, but I think it kind of comes down to rewards, because a lot of the rewards boil down to new sets, and those new sets sell really well. And that's fantastic. I'm glad that people can make, good money off selling those sets. But at the end of the day, it kind of creates this problem of like, well, what if I don't want to make money, Like, what if I want to get something that's like a cool collectible cosmetic? And they did add more cosmetics. There are more cosmetics. If you do a daily battleground or competitive battlegrounds, you're getting tons of cosmetics, which is fantastic too. But you're only getting like armor, ones. Would it be better to get like an outfit or a pet for a mount? Thank you for the follow, Otterbeard. That's where I think it's just tricky, and I think that's where I'm trying to make that group of people. Well, I'm not trying. I have started to make the group of people, and then we can kind of hone in on multiple people's opinions on things, and then kind of put it together. And then two, I plan to do some polls as well, and just say like, hey, I polled, my audience, because I think polls are always very helpful, and they don't give like a skewed view of things because there's not really any sampling bias. Would you if there was a brand new like chase reward for PvP, you had to like, I don't know, capture 4 keeps in X amount of time period to get this keep, really was like incentivizing a lot of like high tier rush PvP gameplay or whatever. Because I don't know that's the other thing too I struggle with is like, what achievements can you add to Cyrodiil that aren't already there? So just, bear with me, because that's something I think you'd have to pick, like, how do you get this cool achievement? What do you want to then get for that achievement? You know what I mean? That's where I think it's like, and if I say 40% of people want a cool skin, 20% of people want a mount, 10% of people want a non-combat pet, X amount of people agree that any reward would be cool. That's where I, want to make something that's more refined and honed in. Because I think that piece will be very helpful when it comes to giving feedback. What are the rewards for doing scout missions? I'm pretty sure it's just AP, isn't it? And it's AP, but then you also get a reward. Do you get a rewards box for doing a scout mission? I think you just get like 2,000 AP. We might be able to go test this. I think I have a scout mission. I'm sure it's like a terrible one, but let's see. AP in a box, but the set pool is pretty bad. It's just AP. It doesn't give me conflicting answers. Come on now. This is my scout mission, isn't it? Yep. Oh my gosh. Ugh. I'm doing this for you guys. I just want you to know that. If any of you are thinking about stream sniping me, just stream snipe me after we get. Oh my god, this would be a run and a half. This is a bit of this is a jaunt, as they say. What do I think about EP getting wrecked this month? I think better dead than red. Am I right, fellas? To be fair, high isle events are probably worth it to farm on repeat, but let's see what the scout missions actually give you. So let's just go on a scenic run through Cyrodiil. Yeah, I think that if they added more events to Cyrodiil, like maybe like a King of the Hill type event where like they open a random portal in part of the map, like a little anchor comes down, it's like a King of the Hill, whoever controls that point and keeps out all the other alliances after a time period. I think that they could open up like more like almost like quick time events, but not like the press the X button. Oh, and then you do like a little cinematic. I think if they did it to where like more like things could happen while you're in Cyrodiil, that would be cool. The sad thing is I would like to make suggestions like, could you make the map smaller? Like, but I don't think that's possible. Like, I don't want to suggest things that it's like, it would be very difficult for us to just like shrink the whole map. Hot take, but I think PvPers actually have tons of options to make gold because I make most of my gold with my alliance points. So I don't know if I fully agree with that. I understand the sentiment of like, if you're a PvE player, there's like hundreds of ways that you can make gold. But I do think that there are some pretty solid ones that they already have access to. It just comes down to like, are they actually using them? I do think though, like, have you guys done Battlegrounds recently? I was getting tons of AP from doing Battlegrounds. I was getting well more AP in Battlegrounds, like per capita, like per hour, than I ever really would inside of Cyrodiil, except during like, like Mid-Year Mayhem or something crazy. So I do think that they need to up how much AP you're getting. I do want to point out though that when it comes to AP and how much drops, there is actually, I believe, I don't know if they're like a developer, if they've got like a special title. Whoa! Don't stream snipe me. I'm just trying to do the scout mission. Leave me alone. Um, they actually, what their job is they look at how much of the ESO player base owns certain amounts of currency. And I do just want to point out that there are ESO players with billions of AP, and that could be part of the reason that they're a little hesitant to up the amount of AP rewards or like drops, for example. Because the other thing too, because I was having this discussion, is there are so many ESO players that have AP and lots of it that if they added a new reward like an alchemy coffer, for example, or a provisioning satchel, they could completely flood the economy. And they were worried that they could like destroy the economy if they did certain changes and added more like coffers and such for AP. So that was a consideration that they made because I had asked them about it when I was talking to him because I was like, oh, I love the economics of ESO. Like, are you guys like looking at this stuff? And they said, yes, these are the factors and things that they look at. Telvar was another one that they're looking at. I hope that they lower the cost of Telvar. Yeah, a guildmate was carrying around 15 million AP from running BGs. He had no idea how to use it. Exactly. I do have tons of videos, though, on how to convert your AP to gold. Tons of videos. But it's a very real... Can I not get through this? I'm going to have to go... Oh, my gosh. I'm going to have to go all the way up. Oy, oy, oy. The thing that I don't know about Telvar is how much Telvar does the average ESO player have? Because a lot of ESO players get Telvar through login rewards. How many people own a bunch of Telvar? Probably don't even realize it until they step into Imperial City and they're like, oh, like, especially during Mid-Year Mayhem, I was getting so much Telvar just from like my box drops. I was like, oh, look at all this stuff. And all the calendar logins and stuff too. It's like kind of nutty how much you can get. Thank you guys for stopping by the way. I know this is a non-drops enabled stream, so it means a lot to me that you would be here. And it's also a Monday at a random time, but I didn't stream on Sunday because I wanted to make that video because I had seen so many videos about that event, and I thought, oof, I just wanted to give like my take on. I can still go through here, right? Yeah, don't roast me. My ability to read a map and make sure I'm going the right direction is not great. I do remember though to heavy attack every so often. That's why I do have a lightning staff. So nobody could take that away from me. Thank you, Christian Gray, for the YouTube subscription. Thank you guys all again for being here. I've kind of ended my rants. I don't know what to talk about now. Like, I was so passionate about the first half of the stream. Now it's like, what do we talk about now? I don't know, our feelings. By the way, Target, if you guys have a Target near you, 40% off clothing. It's very awkward though, because I had to go. The self checkouts are closed. I was doing a field visit in the hood, right? And a lot. And I do know somebody that has a furniture store, Ron, but I know that they advertise it during the Golden Vendor on Fridays. Their name starts with like a U. They're on my friends list. Just like weave through the hundreds of people with U's, on my friends list. It's also a fun fact. I will accept all of your guys' friend requests on Xbox. And so that has, it's great. But also, it makes scrolling through my friends list a bit difficult sometimes. Wait, I need to go this way. What am I doing? I'm not a cartographer. I'm not the greatest at reading a map. But I'm trying my best here. But yeah, Target 40% off. I was in a really sketchy area. I was like, oh gosh. Is there a reason they don't do events in the base game zone? And do more frequent event like weekly to give us a reason to get into these old zones. So to answer the first part of your question, they do, but usually when they do zone stuff, it's like the Halloween event where it's like every zone. For example, like oh, like if you want to farm dragons, get extra boxes, farm dragons. You want to farm dolmens, farm dolmens. You want to farm fungal grotto, go out there and farm fungal grotto. So usually like the Halloween events and stuff like that, you'll see pretty frequently. Probably a Nightblade following right behind me. I just want you to know that I did a whole scout report for you guys, and I had to run from here to here with limited knowledge of the map. It feels like this is what it feels like when you don't know stuff. You're like, what road takes me here? Yeah, I don't have the plugin for the mini map, which is big sad. If I had the mini map plugin, I'd be a little better. But what's nice is it gives me an excuse to not know. This could be fun. Maybe we'll go down here and participate, whatever that is. We are technically using our Battlegrounds build still, which is not, it's not primarily good for Cyrodiil. And a lot of you guys who are watching are like, Jake, why wouldn't a Battleground build translate to Cyrodiil? It's just because it's a little bit more defensive than you need. Usually you need a little more offense. You need a little more, you know? And then you're good. So usually I like to be a little more like, you know, when I go into Cyrodiil. When I'm in Battlegrounds, when I have less health, and when I'm streaming and I know everyone's going to target me, then I have a little bit more health. And I usually also stack more buffs onto myself too. Like I would use major and minor endurance and the other 30-50% recoveries for my health and stamina and magicka too. Just a little bit more kapow. Exactly. You know. That's what's always so hard when you're trying to teach people about PvP. It's like if you need a little more chutzpah, you know, in your build, you might want to change this Mundus. You might want to tweak these things. Like, I want to make like a executioner sorcerer build that uses like vicious death, just because I think that'll be really cool. But that's gonna be like, that's the hardest part. Is like when I make builds, is I want people to be like, this is what it's for. You know, like this is its purpose. And this is what the application that I would use it for would be. You know, like don't get too carried away and think that you can like just translate this to other things. Like if you have like a negate bubble like support Sork build, you probably don't want to duel people with it because you probably will lose. You know, this also might be a hot take. I actually don't use Waze. I use Apple Maps. That might be crazy, but in my experience, going to hundreds and hundreds of field visits for work, the only one that has never taken me to the wrong place is Apple Maps. Google Maps took me to a field one time. They're like, here's the person's house. And I'm like, I don't think that this is where they live. I'm just gonna throw this out there, Google Maps, but I don't think they live in a cornfield. They also didn't seem like people who would live in a farm anyway. So like I think that we're off here. And then Apple Maps took me to a completely different address that was correct. In Waze, I have a similar problem. I don't think the apps get updated on Waze as much. Like brand new houses, you know, especially aren't getting updated as much. Oh, the conflict is over. Oh. By the way, if you were, you know, like if you wanted to just quickly TP out of Cyrodiil, just Q4 Imperial City, and then you're out instantly. I just wanted to have a little run around with my boy, you know, Mr. Nice. He left me. Was there a battle on the bridge? Yeah, Google Maps will pretty much send you down the stairs. That's a pretty accurate description of Google Maps. I've always actually wanted to have a big CGI fight on the bridge, but I don't think there's really a fight here. It's probably more like a massacre. There's no blues on here. There's not even blues here anywhere. We also have negative attributes on, which is not good. There's also a lot of reds up here, which is also not fantastic either. But the nice thing is they procced our Roxas and our Death Dealer's feet, so we are actually cruising right now. Thank you for the follow, Jakin. I don't think there's any blues left down here, though. But we've probably aggroed the horde. Oh, I just knocked myself off, which is embarrassing. Where would the blues be? Probably down here defending this, if I had to guess. Go take a look at that. Where am I going? Oh, it's this way. Yeah, so everybody has been saying, Jake, the infinite combat bug is so annoying. I love it. You just put on Roxa's Death Dealer's feet, and wham bam, thank you, ma'am. You have an infinite proc on yourself. You'll never lose it. You just keep going for forever. I love it. Don't take me out of combat. I want to be in there for forever. Somebody just called me and left a voicemail that just says yes. What the heck? Did I knock myself off? Sorry, I'm multitasking. It just says yes. I don't know if you guys can hear that. The voicemail just says yes. That's ominous. Glad that got you excited, Jake. Other fellow Jake enthusiast. Hopefully you also wear khakis, although betraying my own species right now because I'm wearing sweatpants. Look at these yellows and their silly little respawn camp. I'm gonna just hurdle it real quick. That's not helpful. No more respawning for the yellows. Oh, the front door is down. That's never a good sign. I think our big CGI fight is probably us just defending the inside of a keep. Shh. We'll never... Oh! They see us. We also have a lot of negative effects on us. Whoop. Ow. Look at that. They tried to... Look at that. They didn't want me to get inside. That's so mean of them. Alright. Oh, we have like 3 blues in here. It's alright. It's about even, I would say. What's that door health like? The door health's pretty decent. Oof. A lot of pressure on there. Yeah, what do you guys think the next class will be? There's so many options as to what I think it might be. I do think the number one theory is like a warlock. Just because there's so many, a lot of people have wanted something. It's very like Daedric focused. And I think what better way than like the pantheon of like Daedric gods, But I also, when somebody had said a dwarven artificer, I do think that would be pretty dope too. The only thing that I don't know about dwarves is so the developers had to get special permission. Thank you for the gifted sub, Celtic. The developers had to get special permission for dragons because, there's not dragons like available right now. So I don't even know like what permit. Oh my gosh. Well, that's why using your stun as teleport can be not ideal always. How did they not kill him? He was stunned and had a meteor on him. Come on, fellas. What are we doing up here? We're probably... Chat, are we cooked? I think we're cooked. I think it's over. But I think a dwarven artificer would be dope. Like that one chick. Or not chick. Were they... I don't remember what they were. In the Solstein DLC, where they like threw spiders at people. Do you guys remember that? Am I remembering things crazily? I think that could be really cool too. Deep down, I wish they would remove a class. Hybridization is the absolute opposite of class identity. Do you like streaming on Twitch or YouTube? Well, YouTube used to. Let me think about this question, actually. I don't like how the first thing that you do sometimes when you log into Twitch is have to watch like 1,000 minutes of ads. That's why I have only 1 minute of ads playing per hour. So I try to lower that because I always think that's terrible. Also, growing artificially on Twitch is almost impossible. So that's also another like really annoying factor. But the money is also... Well, the money used to be better until the adpocalypse on Twitch took all that money away. It literally 80 to 90% less for Twitch ads, which is wild. Those of you who don't know, Twitch has been in some hot water recently. Oh wait, did we turn it? Did we turn in the thing? I just turned it in naturally. What did we get? Did we get a patch? We did. Look at that. Boom. Oh, you get scripts from this too. That's 1,000 gold right there. And the gauntlets of the Heartland. So I guess technically streaming on YouTube is probably better. It's just so hard to say. I mean, I dual stream, so it doesn't always have a problem. But yeah, no, we did get a rucksack, a scout one, which is kind of neat. Should we stay in Cyrodiil? Should we go defend Robeck? Well, Robeck's probably cooked. They don't even have any siege weapon down. That probably means that they're in. Should we stay in Greyhost chat? I think we are a stage like 2 vampire though, which not ideal. Hmm. Should we stay in Greyhost or should we go back and do our dailies? What do we think? No pressure, chat. But if you pick wrong and the stream goes poorly, it's all your fault. At the risk of getting banned for saying it, pretty sure Brave blocks Twitch ads. Well, to be fair, you probably don't even need to block Twitch ads right now because nobody wants to advertise on Twitch. Martial arts would be cool. Give the Nightblade some throwing stars. I think they can make like a blades class, like those guys that had like the samurai swords and whatnot. And then maybe they could have some like because I'm sure that they're gonna have like some magic. Because even Dragon Knights, Templars, like Nightblades, they all have magic. It's just kind of like the way of ESO is that everybody's got a little magic, everybody's got a little non-magic. So I think that they could do like a Blades type class or Blades master class, no stealth. Yeah, they could do something like that, almost like a samurai. Well, I think the Akaviri, I think they were like samurais, weren't they? Is that the Akaviri? Hey, let me look this up. But I also feel like in the lore they like came out of the ocean, so maybe they meant that literally or physically. Let me see. I know that they came from the land Akavir, or they come from the land of Akaviri. Which one is the people? Like an alchemist class could be cool. I think if they do an alchemist class, they would do like a Akavir is also known as the Dragon Land. It's a continent landmass east of Tamriel and is known to the home of the Akaviri race. And so here's what the Akaviri look like. They look like this armor right here, but this technically is just a normal guy wearing it. But then here's a ghost. This dead skeleton guy is not the greatest guy here for a reference piece. I don't know if any of these other references are good. So, fun fact, if you actually go through and you complete the newest companions story mission, they will actually give you a line of dialogue that's like, I'll follow you anywhere, including to new continents. Wink, wink. So I'm like, would they give us, like, would they send us, do you think that they would ever send us to Akavir, the Dragonland, the continent landmass to the east of Tamriel? It's always so hard to know, like, what they're thinking. I think that 2026 is going to be Skyrim, regardless, just because it's 15-year anniversary. Literally the 15-year anniversary of Oblivion. They did Blackwood, which is Oblivion inspired, and then the 15-year anniversary of Morrowind. They did the Vardenfell DLC, but what they do before and afterwards could be so difficult. Oh, they actually have a little note for them invading. I thought the invasion of Akaviri was a lot before then. Yeah, so you can see too, like there's an invasion in the third era to Akaviri, but there's so many islands, so they could do like islands of Akaviri. I mean, we've already done High Isles Islands, which I mean, how many people knew about High Isles Island in the lore beforehand? So I realized that this is that's the wrong thing to move. Scooch that over a little bit. Due to unusual Weber, no permanent supply routes, the Emperor oversaw the war effort and colonization. Oh, interesting. Still finding no signs of the Akavir. Also, they drew him in and they surrounded them. Yada yada yada. Ooh, Emperor was slain in combat. That's kind of dope. What do you guys think? Would you guys like to leave the island of Tamriel? The other thing too is a lot of people have been predicting like a waterbending class, like a Avatar type inspired, you know. And the nice thing about that is that if they do some sort of like waterbending type thing, you already have the sea elves who are, the water centric, group of people. And so it could make sense to like, rope them in because I think that the High Isle storyline is what we're going to kind of see pseudo continued with the Three Banners War into the next, expansion. And I think that that's going to take us into the Black Marsh area. But from Black Marsh, we could jump into anywhere, pretty much. We could even jump into the Akaviri continent. Because this is the thing that ZeniMax does that I love/hate, is that they will leave clues at all sorts of dialogue is a clue as to where we're going, right? But you never know, like, what's, like, for example, Skingrad has been a clue for where we were going to go. And Skingrad is, like, that's the newest city. That's over here inside of Westwell, which is the newest expansion. Clues that we were going to Westweld began all the way back in 2018. So they had been teasing Skingrad all the way back in 2018. For context, this is going to surprise a lot of you guys. 2018 was 6 years ago. I don't want to scare anybody by saying that because, it feels like we've entered a time warp after 2020, but it's almost 2025. I hate to be the one to tell you. Sorry, everybody. I remember one comment. I think it was actually one of you guys in the chat had said, when I had said, oh, the 15-year anniversary of Skyrim is 2026. You guys were like, oh my God. Like, it really has been 15 years since Skyrim came out in 2026. And yeah, it's been unfortunate, but sorry, it's a true fact. What do you guys hope the newest class will be? Like, what do you guys think will be the next thing? I think a warlock is just such a knight, or a scholar type class is just such an easy, safe answer. Maybe it's just too crazy. Maybe I should have balled out a little bit harder. But I feel like it will be very thematic to the College of Winterhold when inevitably we go there. So it's like it just makes sense, But like the nice thing too about a scholar is you could give him like water-based abilities. You could give him, anything, Or if you do a warlock, they can have like each skill line could be like a different patron deity, for example. So like you could have like an Azura, warlock skill line, and maybe that's all healing focused, and so on. I just think there's so many possibilities. Like the possibilities are endless, which I mean, obviously they are endless because, they literally could do anything. Yeah, they lived through my execution. Crazy. That's why I want to have vicious death too. You can single out the weak ones, like this guy doesn't have a. This guy's not very defensive. Then you can get him to blow up with vicious death. A little bloodthirsty jewelry trades too, for a good measure. Yeah, I think warlock would be cool because that's the nice thing about a warlock is it's like a fresh slate. You could add in pretty much any magic that you wanted. We could do thermovasculism too if you guys want to see a bard. The only thing that I think is going to be difficult about a bard is like how do you give a bard 3 bars of abilities? Especially if you're trying to give them access to like, a whole bunch of, different types of things. If I'm not mistaken, Daddy, and it's always sounds crazy to say, and people have names like that. Daddy. But to my knowledge, Elder Scrolls 6 is going on a brand new engine, and that's part of the reason for the delay. I'm like pretty confident in saying that. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm pretty certain that that's like part of the reason why it's taken so long is that they're putting it on um a new thingamahoosin engine. That's what I was looking for. I don't know why I can remember words and then I just forget them. Yes, they're using Unreal Engine. But I think that they're is it that they're porting over all their stuff from Unreal Engine? This guy's level 39 in Grey Host. What a man. I mean, he's dead, but man, he was a man. A legend. Have you guys been seeing those memes that where it's like, I just want to slowly bleed out, and it's like a nice snowy like landscape, and it's like, what it would feel like to bleed out after a long battle here. I feel that sometimes. It's like when I was asked, how often I thought about the Roman Empire. I was like, like once a week. And then they started laughing. I was like, what are you laughing for? Like, you guys just don't think about the Roman Empire that often? There's so many inspirations for it, Like, I was playing Warhammer the other day, and I was like, this looks like, a Roman Empire type helmet. People just don't understand. Pretty much, it was made by one person. Kind of reminds me of Star Wars when they just went buck wild. For those of you who don't know, George Lucas was just like, yeah, you guys can all write books in the expanded universe. And we had so many weird stories for a while. Like I watch a guy, I think it's is it Comics Explained? I think on YouTube. I think it's Comics Explained on YouTube. And he will go over like comic books and books from different eras, and I like to just listen to them when I'm driving. And man, some of the Star Wars books after Lucas just kind of like started outsourcing it, I don't want to say that they're bad, but they're wild. Like, like the one where it was like a children's novel about like a guy pretending to be Palpatine's son, but because he was using a force lightning, but instead of using actual force lightning, he was just using like this glove that shot electricity out of it. And it was like a children's novel. It was so wacky. And this was like after like Palpatine had died and after the sixth movie. It's just wild. Star Wars lore is pretty scary if you ever try to understand all of it because it's so many retcons. This is where we're going. I'm trying to see where like the main blues are because I don't think that we're gonna be pushing any deeper this way. But make sure you go do your High Isle daily quest or your Galen ones. No preference. Whatever ones you want. Or if you want to farm, the dungeons. Potato, potato. You do you. Everyone's a free person here. My biggest thing though is, and this is what I want to make sure that all you guys are, just ready for mentally, is that the gold reward box that you get from that Bad Mamma Jamma is usually juiced with companion gear, and companion gear is worth a lot. So if you guys missed my long spiel earlier about companion gear, it's good to have right now. So I will go out and grab companion gear if you can. Veteran Earthenroot Enclave until I'm sick to my stomach. There you go. I hate when we like, I know that, you're supposed to take the outposts in the middle, cut off the reinforcements. Man, it's always annoying when you're like not there and you have to like run afterwards. I did a video concept idea and I was curious what you guys think of it. I was going to take the worst ESO PvP sets into Grey Host. What do you guys think about a video where we take the worst builds into Cyrodiil? Any thoughts on that? Take Vampire Lord in there and see if we can make it work. I was going to try to, basically what it would be is like a stage 4 vampirism build with like the worst sets in the game. No, I'm pretty sure it was very recently that they had mentioned that they were updating to Unreal Engine. Oh, I want to take more than OG. I want to take what people think are like the worst sets. I think you guys know Vampire Lord is from Bankrai. After we get to this conflict here and inevitably win because blues never lose, because it rhymes. I could show you guys Vampire Lord unless anyone wants to put it in real quick. If anyone knows off the top of their head. Mm-mm-mm. Imagine if they made Elder Scrolls Online. They just kind of like upgraded it to Unreal Engine. That'd be kind of crazy. Think about all the lag we would have then. It'd be really wild. By the time we get here, we could be getting curb stomped. Gotta be AD. There's not even any blues here. Oh, there's a blue. Fellas, this isn't looking great. Well, at least now we can take some time to highlight the set. This is why I think a lot of people are like, I'm going to go into Battlegrounds for my first experience. But anywho, this is what the set from, where is it? Daggerfall Covenant, Bankrai, Vampire Lord. So it increases the bonuses and penalties of your vampire stage. So it literally makes it to where now you take even more flame damage, your abilities cost even more, and the only benefit is that now your vampirism abilities are reduced. And you're like, that's the benefit? It would be a better benefit if you spit in my face. So you get Magicka, Weapon and Spell, crit chance, and basically you get increased flame, 6% increase to flame damage taken, 6% increase to your regular cost, and then a 20% reduction to your vampire ability costs. Like, call me crazy. That's not that. I think it'd be better if it was a 4-piece set that you just didn't want a 5-piece. That's why I love this set, because it's just arguably the worst set in the game. If anybody knows any worse sets, though, please put them in the chat. But I don't think you can get worse than this. Because let's take a little field trip over to vampirism. So you have Eviscerate, right? Does it increase the damage reduction? Does it increase in the vamp stage 3 damage reduction? What do you mean? Oh yes, so you still get undeath, but it doesn't affect Vampire Lord is not affecting undeath, if that's what your question is. So the only benefit would be your ultimate and your active ability. So in theory, we could eviscerate for days. So maybe you could make some sort of like, you can't turn this into a stamina ability, can you? Excuse me. No, it's either, you can make it cost health. Cannot be healed. Wasn't that just fantastic? But you can't be healed by allies. I mean, 9,709 damage is quite, because this is also battle spirit affected, because we're in Cyrodiil. So I mean, like, I guess then you could siphon people's energy. I just don't think that this is helpful. I mean, I guess you could regenerate your ultimate, but like, have you ever seen anybody in a battleground recently use the vampire drain on you? No problem, Zach. I'm all for the crazy ideas. What are we doing? So I went over. Hang on, let me finish my thought on the vampirism abilities. We're talking about Vampire Lord, the set, and why it's arguably the worst set in the game. And is there any possible way you could build it into any sort of feasible build? And we were looking through the active abilities, because realistically, all of these abilities are hot garbage. I mean, they're not. No, let me say that again. They're not hot garbage. They're just garbage. Like they're just bad. I mean, Mist Form. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe Mist Form's not garbage, but like, Perfect Scion is okay. Eviscerate is okay. Blood Frenzy is never really good compared to other things that could do similar things. Vampiric Drain, nobody uses Vampiric Drain. Mesmerize, like, come on, nobody's using Mesmerize. You basically have to be a real life vampire and invite people to your home to get the same stun ability as Mesmerize. It's just, I don't know. I never liked it, but maybe you could build it into some sort of terrible set. But the idea that we had, we'll go to the conflict here to Ale as well. So after the PvP event, the developers had asked for feedback from people, and I had a couple pieces of feedback. The number one being is that they were looking for is that what Twitch drops do they think would be better at drawing an active interest in viewership? Because I guess I don't know if it was Guild Wars 2 or if it was another MMO, but there's an MMO basically where you have to watch for 8 hours to get all of the Twitch drops. It's like at hour 1 you get something, at hour 3 you get something, and then like 5 and 8, whatever, whatever. So they were asking like people's opinions on like beefing up Twitch drop rewards, because the Twitch drop from this last event was really just a continuation for the PvP event that were the developers live stream event, which not everybody got the Chaos Ball one from. So this is kind of like people's ability to get that again. And then they just reverted back to like, the Ouroboros crown crates afterwards. So, oh my gosh, there's like no conflict going on here either. Stay alive, my brother. You don't even see me. Don't worry. I just jumped into that. Oh my gosh. It's embarrassing. So every time I try to go to it's because everybody wanted the hammer. We'll see where the hammer goes. I mean, why not just try and have a good stream so people watch, and then the drops are just a nice bonus? So we talked about that a bit too. So those of you might not know, so a lot of people came from Alienware, and I believe Cypher PK is sponsored by Alienware, and that's why he was brought into this event. And I think one of the biggest criticisms that I had for the event is usually when they do an event, like a PvE event, like they have like a very good like ongoing rapport. Like if they brought in like Ninetales Fox or like 8 Puppies, like they chit chat all the time. They could probably talk to each other for hours. When you bring in people who haven't played the game in a while, and you bring in some like very, I don't want to say introverted people, but more like quiet people, I think the stream felt like very like muted. And I think that they could have been a little bit more chatty, and I think that was just a product of them not having the chemistry together that they usually do with some of the other content creators that they work for or work with on a more regular basis. Where's the hammer going? Probably to Ailswell. Yeah, so they brought in people. I think that it's because they were through Alienware. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's why. And that's how they picked them. But then there were other teams too that people were able to set up. I was pretty. I do think it was a mistake also hosting it by somebody that was actively participating in the event. I thought that was a bit, goofy. Like they should have had like one of the community managers like be there to maybe ask like some questions that were coming up, because when I was streaming, that's like something that we would do is like you guys would say like, oh, like what's a really good Templar build, but and I would be able to throw that, to people in the Xbox party that we were talking to, which, were on stream with us, and we were able to have like a conversation about it. And then they could have somebody like monitoring the chat and then asking those questions, because I think it just became very difficult to like multitask all of the bits and pieces that were going on at the time. Serena is usually very chatty, and I didn't know if she had connect. I actually did not get a chance to really rewatch the whole kit and caboodle of the stream, so I don't know exactly all the bits and bobs and things that happened. I just have heard like general things about it, and I try to watch like the key highlights, like the concerns with like the heavy attacking moment and switching different abilities around and not recognizing certain abilities and things. I tried to watch like the key moments, but I didn't watch the whole thing. Yeah. Well, the other thing too is like it's a PvP can be difficult. Like you go, especially 8v8s. Like sometimes you're like, oh wow, this is a very even game, and then other times you're like, this is a steamroll. Like this is not the greatest, when it comes to balance. And I think part of that too is MMR problems, because MMR is not very well balanced in that everybody basically has been reset with their MMR, meaning that everybody's on equal footing. So the devs can't balance people very easily. Well, I don't know if they actually bought Cypher. I think that Alienware wanted to do some sort of collaboration, and I think that they might have just brought him along. I don't know that for certain though, so don't quote me on that. But I think I would assume that that's probably something that might have happened, and we just lost the hammer. No, don't let them pick up the hammer. Oh, I'm not gonna grab it either. Oh my god, we're cooked. Yeah, it definitely would have made the event better. When it comes to the event, though, I do think, and this is I still stand by the general sentiment that I'm happy that it happened. Oh yeah, Cypher definitely got paid. I mean, it's a sponsored stream. People are definitely getting paid somewhere. But what I think happened is that Alienware reached out and said, hey, we want to do a collaboration between ESO and Alienware. And this is where I get excited because so ESO PvP had enough viewers to put them in the top 25 games for Twitch that day, which I think is very exciting. The other thing that happened that's, very exciting is the first thing that happened afterwards is they wanted to explore like what rewards and things could we do to kind of continue this success on Twitch. And I love hearing those things because it's like, they recognize that, they could push ESO on Twitch more, a better reward. Where did the hammer go? Am I dumb? Sorry, I struggle to breathe and chew bubble gum at the same time. Apparently, every time I chew bubble gum, I suffocate. Like, where did the hammer go? But when it comes to PvP, I'm excited that ESO PvP put ESO so far ahead on Twitch. And then also conversely, there were a lot of people that their first experience seeing ESO was PvP. But even if you look at it negatively, where you're like, oh, Rush of Agony's really annoying, the meta's too defensive. There's a pretty good IOTUS for them to now fix those things, because if you think about it, if ESO PvP is what pushes ESO into the higher end of Twitch and it gets people motivated to watch on Twitch, that is a huge incentive for them to go, well, we probably should put more investment into this, better rewards, more live streams, obviously better live streams. And that's where I look at it from a positive angle. I understand that people that are, most of ESO's biggest streamers are PvPers. Is that true though? Because I feel like, I don't want to say that that's not true, but whenever I looked at Twitch the other day, just on a random day, to see like what was the majority of content being done on ESO, and it was majority just like people just chatting around. Yeah, so like right now you've got Xenod, who's inside of Infinite Archive. Where's the Elder Scrolls Online channel? I'm just curious. I want to see like who's doing what. You've got Kemul. Is he in Cyrodiil? It looks like they're in Cyrodiil. And then you've got other people farming daily quests. It looks like Infinite Archive. The majority of people here are in Infinite Archive right now. I don't know why Xenod loves Infinite Archive so much. I hate Infinite Archive. I don't like hate it with a passion, but like just too green, Need a little more color palettes in there. I understand that they did the red and blue, new ones though, but yeah. There's only, we're actually the third most popular ESO stream right now, which is kind of crazy because we only have 49 viewers on Twitch. But thank you guys for being here because there's no Twitch drops right now. Watched a few streamers playing Tales of Tribute lately. Hear me out. Everybody says that PvP needs a refinement through Cyrodiil or Battlegrounds. Let's get a Tales of Tribute stream, with the developers. Like, let's go. I as a joke, I floated the idea to ZeniMax, like, whenever they do, like, an in-person event, they should do, like, an in-person Tales of Tribute game. Because I just think that would be, like, hilarious, but I don't think that they'd go for that. It would be so complicated counting the numbers. It would make Magic the Gathering look like a child's game when it comes to accounting. Oh, try to get back inside. Exactly. Tales of Tribute is PvP, like it's player versus player. There's a winner or there's a loser. Drops or not, you gotta watch. Thank you, Kilted. But yeah, I mean, usually you can tell when there's Twitch drops that are active because it's like, oh, there's like tons of people here versus there not being any people here. It could definitely be the time of day as well. And maybe I'm just thinking about the content creators that are in the program that are like live streamers, like their live streamer program. Because they have like a content creator live streamer program, and I'm just like thinking about who was in there. Because I was surprised that there wasn't like more interest to do the battlegrounds. Like I thought that there would be like tons more people who were like, oh, I'm gonna go and farm, with a team and whatnot, but there was surprisingly not that many people in there. I thought that there would be like, 10 teams of people, but there was not, which is kind of sad. I did struggle to get people who were interested to do it on a Wednesday, which is probably part of the problem, just because Wednesdays are such an awkward day of the week, because it's like halfway through the work week. It was at noon, was when they were doing the stream, so that's probably there. So technically, Rambo, I'm actually not on the ESO stream team. I'm just an ESO YouTube content creator. I think that they still put me on as like somebody that got the Twitch drop and whatnot, but like I'm not technically in their stream team. Yeah, I think their biggest problem too is that they released they were working on announcing all the new content creators getting into the program, and then it was like, welcome to the program, how many of you in a week want to like do this PvP live stream? And I'm sure a lot of people, time constraints and whatnot made it difficult. There's probably tons of like variables that made it difficult for a lot of people. I do plan to change that. So JTK, my idea is that I put together a group of individuals. I went to the ESO Facebook groups, and I am still working on getting people in, obviously, but I put together a team of people to suggest and recommend like poignant PvP changes, and to say like, hey, here's what would be a good change to fix X, Y, and Z thing. Here's how we can fix battlegrounds. These are the Twitch rewards that people think would be good. Just generalized like recommendations, because they have been asking for our recommendations, so I do think that they're open to it. My suggestion actually for Twitch drops might be a little bit controversial, but I thought that it would be a good idea if, for example, they're doing a PvP stream, to give away golded out versions of PvP sets. So, for example, if you're like watching me PvP, then you could get like a golded out set, of like Crafty Alfiq or something. They did, they were very selective. I was very surprised at the individuals that they took. I actually didn't think that I was gonna get in, because I had been rejected by the stream team twice, which hurt my feelings. And because of that, I was like, oh, like they may or may not do it. Like a lot of people are like, oh, you make all these videos and stuff every month, but they're I play on Xbox and whatnot, so it's always hard to know. I guess we're third class citizens over here. It's also very hard for them to like give codes to Xbox creators. Like they haven't even gotten it yet, just because it's so difficult for us. I think Midyear Mayhem would a better time to do that. That actually is a really good point. Oh my gosh. See, that's why I can't PvP and read the chat. I just run into conflict. I wasn't even looking. But yeah, if they want viewers give class scripts, that could be a good idea too. I've always been a proponent of give in-game items. Some to be transparent, some end-game players have pushed back a little bit and have said like, oh, well, what's the point of watching then if I already have all the items? That's why I like the idea of like giving golded out sets, because you could just deconstruct it if you really wanted to. And like, who doesn't want a free gold out version of like a set? And then too, you don't have to create new cosmetics, right? Because it already exists in the game. So I'm a huge proponent of giveaway in-game items, seals of endeavors, all sorts of stuff. Why did that block that out? What did you say? I'm like scared. I don't have to go look at it. Best viewers on star. Why is that blocked? What did you say? What word did you use? It won't even tell me on my creator Twitch account. I don't want any more crates and repair stuff for PvP. I love that idea for everybody else. My bank is so full with items, it is absolutely ridiculous. I have so much stuff in my bank that are siege weapons that I don't need any more siege weapons. Oh, he used star. But he blocked it out. I was like, Twitch is actually doing moderation. That's crazy. Twitch doesn't moderate anything. We could be sitting here watching a Disney movie and they wouldn't give a shit. They wouldn't care at all. They would have no idea. YouTube would immediately crack it down. I probably have a laser pointer come on my head, from the FBI. That's the wrong daily quest. I'm in the wrong place. I will do our Galen ones. Galen's actually a pretty good set pieces to own. I think that the gourmet set's actually a pretty good set for solo content. You just pair it with, like Sergeant's set, and there you're pretty much good to go. Not that solo content really needs a whole lot of brain power when it comes to picking out sets for yourself. But yeah, my biggest plan is to create a pseudo class rep system to then draft out like a very specific, poignant recommendation and then push that onwards to be like, oh, hey, here's like what I want, like here's what we think would be a good idea. And then we can also back that up with like surveys that we do using like YouTube polls and whatnot as well. That's like the worst one to get to. I think Zoss needs to do something about stream sniping too. It's not a good look when you have some handful of peeps grieving all the PvP streamers. Well, it technically is a bannable offense. I just think that a lot of PvPers don't want to become known as people who report people for teabagging them and stream sniping them, it is against their TOS, so they could get banned or warned, but I'm sure a lot of people don't want to be known as like, oh, if you harass this streamer, you're going to get this response, because I think that that's probably why a lot of people do it. Is tunnel? It's tunnel. My ability to navigate Galen is not the greatest. So I think that's probably why it remains a problem. Some of you guys have stream sniped me in more of a funny way. When I've never reported any of you, don't worry. Your secret's safe with me. The funny thing is when I'm not wearing my PvE gear, I just do my rotation like I do for PvE player or PvP players, which is not exactly how you would do it on a boss, but potato. And the funny thing too is there's just so many people farming these freaking vents that nobody can tell where the reward coffer is, because it doesn't pop up for a second too, which makes it even more confusing. People are like, "Where is it at?" And it's like, it'll be somewhere around here. Actually, farming volcanic vents too is a pretty decent gold method as well. A lot of people were talking about that because you get so many quick sell items. It's not a bad gold method, especially right now too. I mean, you're getting these reward crates, which if you've just joined recently, you get tons of really good pieces of companion gear. You get luminous ink, which is always nice. Does us not ban people for stream sniping? I just would have assumed that they did. I've never gone down I've never had to go down that rabbit hole. I just assumed that because people were complaining about getting banned for teabagging, that people would get banned for stream sniping, especially because they're like right next to each other in the TOS. But I truthfully also don't know. It's not something I've had to like really deal with. By the way, also, if you deconstruct these pieces, you can usually get some good trait items back as well. So it's actually better if you deconstruct these items, not just because this is a jewelry piece, which would always make it worth deconstructing, but because of the style that it's made in. You get the style material that it comes back as. But a lot of stuff we're just gonna. I just need the inventory space. I've been making 2 to 300K a day grinding vents. It's pretty nice. Yeah, grinding vents is pretty straightforward, and this is a pretty good set for solo. It's very easy to use, very easy to get the 5 piece because it's literally just while you have a food buff active, your critical damage and critical healing is increased by 13%. Um, it's a very good set. You probably normally also can sell this set very well because I had been selling it for a while. But unfortunately, everybody is not going to be able to farm it. But also love getting scripts too. It's like a free 1,000 gold right there. Just wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Don't sell the crafty elfie gold sword, please, or gold staff. Most stream snipers teabag. Maybe that's the way to work the system. Well, the thing is like in TOS, they're both like next to each other. You can't teabag people. It's against the rules, you know. If any of you guys teabag me, you're on notice. I'm kidding. I actually think in one of my live streams I had said that you guys are all free. Feel free to teabag me, in that it doesn't, it's, it's just part of PvP, So I don't stress about it. I'm trying to look at the TOS here. What is ESO's TOS? Let's see if I can pull it up here for us. Oh my gosh, there's so many things. Okay. Hang on, maybe code of conduct will be less reading. Sorry guys, I'm not a lawyer over here. Alright, so here is the code of conduct, which you may not post, transmit, or dispute or distribute content that's illegal. Such as stalking, threats of violence, child solicitation. Yeah, don't do that either. Probably not good. Yes, this one is about account names. Some of you guys probably need to reread that one. No, just kidding. When I was doing the PvP event, I was like, these are the character names that people are going with. Okay. All right, so here it is. Right at the very top. You may not harass, threaten, intentionally humiliate, stream snipe, name and shame, engage in acts of grieving, or cause distress to another guest, user, ZeniMax staff, team members using ZeniMax sites and services. This is included but not limited to verbal attacks, both text chat and voice chat, unwanted messages, personal attacks, stalking, causing discomfort, disrupting another user's experience, refrain from attacking age, race, color, disability, sexual orientation, national origin, religion, lifestyle, pregnancy, gender, or other personal identifying factors. Protected categories under applicable law. You may not at no time share or refer to or use personal information of another person, account name, persona, or avatars using ZeniMax or its affiliates. We encourage you to share feedback, suggestions, or requests with us. We expect all users to refrain from abusive and disruptive behavior or resorting to demanding or threats. Threats of real life violence in particular are something we take very seriously. Does it go on? I don't think it talks about that anymore. Yeah, you can't impersonate a ZeniMax employee. You can't, subvert filters. Well, to be fair, there's actually nothing in here about teabagging. I think that there might be something in here about teabagging, but teabagging is actually perfectly fine as long as the person doesn't, or as long as the recipient of the teabagging isn't like, stop it, step bro. Then if they say that, you have to stop. I think that's how it works. Oh, I didn't even realize I've never read this part before. Role-playing fan fiction god modding. We support the fan fiction and role-playing communities on ZeniMax services and ask that you please respect your fellow writers and role players by not god modding. God modding is the act of forcing another community member's character into a situation they've not agreed to. If you wish to involve another player's character in a story or roleplay experience, please respect that individual's wishes and get their permission first. Failure to do so is called god modding and is not allowed. I don't know what situations that applies to. I'm probably too innocent to know, so I don't even want to know. Stream sniping times like 3 or 4 wouldn't also be stalking, wouldn't it? Yeah, you could argue it's stalking. I think it's hard for me to have an opinion on stream sniping because I've not had it happen a lot. And the other issue that's difficult for me is that, so like if I'm in a battleground or if I'm in Cyrodiil, and there are people that are going to want to probably kill you more in the same way that if people recognize you, they're probably going to want to kill you more than they want to kill other players. So like what is being targeted for just being well known versus what's being targeted because you're live streaming. It's a very hard delineation to make. This one always asks for consent, oh god. To be fair, how would an MMR system work in a 4v4v4 for the ranked game mode? Like, what would happen if you got second place? Would you lose or gain MMR? I think it was like the MMR system that was problematic previously for the 4v4v4s is your MMR always went up pretty much. It never really went down. And if you made a brand new character, it would always be at the bottom. So people with brand new characters would just steamroll everybody. And then they would get to a point where then they were competing back with everybody else. Now, it kind of ebbs and flows. It degrades. It increases, I think, at a more fair rate. The only thing that's going to be problematic that I notice is that you have teams that just intentionally don't play the objective. And because of that, they're, there's no real priority for them to win, and if they don't win, their MMR doesn't really change for a positive sense, even though, they're steamrolling, other teams of people. So there is definitely a balancing act to do, and that's one of the things that they're asking for the most feedback on in a lot of their live streams right now is they want feedback specifically on, like, hey, how can we, what's the best way to do this MMR system? And I think that's definitely something to work on. The hard thing, though, too, is that because everybody's MMR is so low right now, it's hard to know, like, what's going to be a good system, because we're still in the infancy of it. It's hard to have an opinion when something is so new, if that makes sense. The other tragic thing, too, is that I will not be home when the guild traders flip tomorrow, so I can't try to snipe ones that people didn't bid on. That's the other tragic thing. Usually I try to have like a break at 2 p.m., when the guild traders flip, so that way I can go through and I can try to buy one for free, but won't be able to do that, sadly. I mean, the lightning staff's not bad. The sad thing is these used to be like fantastic sets to sell, like absolutely cracked. Now they're just kind of like, because of the set, because of this, newest event, it's kind of, knocked it down a few pegs, sadly. I don't think somebody had said too about Unreal Engine. I want to just Google that real quick while we're here. Yeah, so it looks like Skyrim lead developer admits the Skyrim shifting to Unreal Engine. Yeah, so I think that's probably where they're going for Elder Scrolls 6 is Unreal Engine, which I think is great. If any of you guys have ever seen like the remakes or like, for ESO inside of there, it just looks fantastic. But I'm going to be getting going here soon. This is more of an impromptu live stream more than anything. Didn't have a whole lot planned for us. So I'm going to be making a video that too explains my thoughts and ideas for what I want to do with this kind of like pseudo class rep system, because I want I want to try to create very poignant ideas for the developers. I want to try to create like really good ideas for what could be good for PvP. You know, we've started the conversation already as to like, hey, you know, this is a great idea. Like, this is something that will help new players get into things, and the conversation's already ongoing. So hopefully we can continue that conversation in Discord. And if you guys have any ideas as well, feel free to shoot me a message on Discord. Are you over there in Elswell? Yeah, I didn't actually have a problem with frames, but I also have a 1 gig internet speed, and if I have problems with frames and whatnot, you know, it's over at that point. If you have a gigabit internet speed and you're still getting cooked with frames, maybe that's what we'll do. Next stream, we'll just spend it in Grey Host too, because I need to get back into Grey Host. I feel like I've missed it for so long. I just got to switch my gear and skills around to be more Grey Host centric versus this is more of a Battlegrounds build than anything else. But do you guys have any final questions or anything? Just let me know. If not, I'm going to begin wrapping down here. I guess we can find somebody to raid too. It's like one of the slower nights on ESO, so there's not a whole lot of people here, but we can find somebody. Anyone actually farming Cyrodiil right now? Let's see. That'd be very thematic if I pick somebody that was farming Cyrodiil. Oh, they have an ad? What are these guys? So ad friendly. They have ads on their videos. Couldn't be me. Actually, quick question. When you guys clicked on my video, did you guys have to watch an ad for on Twitch? Not YouTube, because YouTube's the good little cherub. So the next video is going to be on the Tuesday vendor, because tomorrow's Tuesday. Oh, I did watch a video. That's good. That means that I'm a good little cherub in the eyes of Twitch. I haven't said anything too controversial yet, which is good. So Tuesday will be the Tuesday vendor, and then either Wednesday or Thursday we'll have a live stream. I also want to do a video on the scam that somebody tried to pull on me, just because I was like, bro, people really using the Elder Scrolls Online Discord to scam me? That is so goofy. Like, people are trying to scam me using the Elder Scrolls Discord. And I'll give you a bit of a taste. If you guys are curious, like, what scam people were trying to do, is basically what they did is that, so a Dark Hunter, it was because a lot of advertisers had pulled funding from Twitch, so they weren't running ads sometimes that people clicked on their video just because there was no ads to run. But yes, normally you should have ads on streams unless you're a sub or premium. But yeah. What was I saying? Oh, so what they did is they pretended to be a different content creator. And what they did is they put that content. So usually in Discord, you can see like linked accounts. Like if you click on my name, it will be like YouTube, Jake Clips, like right below my name. They had theirs in their description, and they were actually pretending to be a content creator and were reaching out to give me advice. And immediately it was very weird because they were giving me this advice like on how to get money through YouTube. Like, here's how you join the YouTube partner program. And I was like, I'm in the YouTube partner program. Cause like they'll ask like your YouTube channel, and then I'm like, oh, you know, it's linked if you want to look at it. And I'm like, that's weird. Like, you would think if somebody's gonna like give you feedback, like it would be feedback on your actual channel, but it was like a copy and pasted script. And so then he sends me to this other guy. He's like, if you want to get big on YouTube, like talk to this guy. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go talk to this guy. Like, what type of advice has this guy got for me? And I knew it was a scam at this point. And so basically, this guy, a little bit of the better scammer, he actually looked at my channel and, you know, tried to actually give like non-copy and pasted responses, which good for him. He also sent me a Fiverr link, which I did not click on, but what it actually went to was a website builder. But what he was offering is he was actually offering to make ads for my YouTube channel, which is very sketchy. Because basically, if you don't know, a lot of people will pay for botted interaction on YouTube. That's actually stupid, and it's a mistake. Anybody that buys botted comments or botted views or botted subscribers is a hooligan, because all three of those things will hurt you in the algorithm, and it will hurt your natural growth. So basically, what he was selling to me was like guaranteed viewers and bots and things. And what they'll do is they'll masquerade it by saying like, "Oh, we're gonna make you an ad. Like, we'll make you a dedicated ad, and we'll push it out there and advertise your channel to people, and they'll subscribe to you and blah blah blah." The problem is that's not true. What they actually do is they just run you through a bot program that increases your subscriber count. And if you've ever seen like any of the videos on that cover this scam, what they'll do is they'll watch like 1 second of your video, maybe like a little bit longer, like 3 seconds of your video, and then they click off of it, and then it will be like these views are from like, Bangladesh or some other country. I think Bangladesh was the example that they had in the YouTube video I remember watching on this scam. And so this actually hurts you in a lot of ways. How's it going, Boss Master Gaming? Because so if you're a YouTuber, right, and you have fake subs, fake views, and low view retention on a video, all of those things will hurt you. Because one, if you make a video, so let's say I make a video right now, I'm like, what's going on YouTube? Today we're gonna review the Tuesday vendor. I tell my dad joke at the beginning, all you guys are like, woo, pumped up, excited. YouTube is gonna wonder why all of those people that watched your last video didn't watch this video. And that's why botted views and things don't work. And then they also fall off. So people don't watch and interact with your content very often. They fall off. Like it'll automatically unsubscribe to you. You actually probably actively watch subscribers or people right now on YouTube that you're not subscribed to, and they will fall off. Like you'll no longer be subscribed to them. So that's why botted stuff is so stupid. And immediately it's a scam because they start offering you packages. They were like, "Oh, we'll offer you the emerald package or the sapphire package." And I'm like, the fucking sapphire package? What scared me about this scam though is that because it was in the Elder Scrolls Discord, I had noticed, because I'm in all of like the other content, well, not all of them. There's probably some that I'm not in. That was definitely some I'm not in. I'm actually in a lot of other content creators' Discords, and I noticed that guy who messaged me also reached out to other content creators. So that's the part that kind of worried me, because I think what he did is he went through, there's like a content creation share, like Discord screen or like Discord channel, and he was just going down the list of like, "Hey man, like, are you a YouTuber?" And it's like, you just clicked on, you just found my name after I reposted a YouTube video, so, probably, and he's like, "I'm a YouTuber too, like blah, blah, blah." And it's like, okay. And the other thing too that made the scam so interesting, and what I wonder so deeply is that the guy that actually was doing the scam didn't use a Discord account that had linked socials to the actual YouTube account he was claiming to be, but he put it in his description. And I went to actually watch the guy's stream. He actually had like 400 concurrent viewers, but he was streaming Raid Shadow Legends. And I was like, are there really 300 to 400 people watching Raid Shadow Legends? Like, it just felt so. I was like that SpongeBob meme where I'm like, the smelly smell that smells. I was like, this doesn't seem right. And that's where the red flags went up. And then when he was like, "Oh, like, do you want help getting into the YouTube partner program?" I'm like, I was like, sure, For those of you who don't know, the YouTube partner program, I think now you can literally get in as low as 500 subscribers. It's not like it's hard. Like it's a big hurdle to get to. I don't want to downplay it, but like if you looked at the majority of channels that he was messaging, you'd be like, they're in the partner program already. Like, what are you talking about? So that was when the scam started. And the fact that they sent me to a Fiverr page that, was linked to a guy that made websites for people, not dedicated ads. The other thing that scammed me too is that when you say like, "Hey, can you like show me an ad that you've made for a person?" They don't have anything. They're like, "Oh, we can't send you anything." I'm like, okay, well, can you send me a blank contract? And to be fair, even if they sent me a PDF, I ain't opening no PDF. Like, don't open any PDFs that people send to you. But you should at least ask. That way, if you're like, okay, well, like, is this a real thing? Like, is this a person that exists in the real world? It's important to know, like, will they actually send me information and documents? Because there are tons of scams that are advertised to people all the time. And that's what I was worried about. So that'll be one of the videos that comes out this week as well. I was talking about that scam just because it was so funny. There are tons of scams though that I get reached out to. A lot of times it's like product scams, like, hey, like, do you want to promote X, Y, and Z thing? Like, Better Health was a big popular scam. I've never been offered like established titles or any of them, but those are pretty scammy too. But then there are just actual scams like No Ping, which is literally a scam. I probably should be careful as I just throw around these words, wimbly bimbly, like, oh, this is a scam, that's a scam. They're probably like, what do you mean by that? And I'm like, this is my opinion. It's just not some sort of legal definition by any means. I'm not I'm not a lawmaker. I'm not speaking in legalese right now. I'm just speaking on my opinion. Please don't sue me, everybody that's watching from all of the major organizations. But that is gonna, I don't know. That's my thought on that. We also have some other videos too, like some PvP build videos to make and stuff. Always want to do more of that, and I want to just kind of continue to push different types of content as well from there. Just because there's just so many videos I want to make. We got upcoming events too, to cover. That'll be really important. There's so many events that are upcoming because it's the holiday period, tons of events. So a lot to do. But I'm gonna send you to somebody else's ESO channel because I actually have to go eat dinner, go shopping, and whatnot. So thank you guys for being here. I will be here as well at some time this week, hopefully when Twitch drops are back enabled. And I'll catch you guys later. And ironically, everybody that's still here on YouTube you're still here. So welcome everyone on YouTube. You guys get a personal